Alright, so we're going to be watching two videos today. The Rough Day for HighGuard by Charlie. It just came out. And then Two Speedrunners Share One Inventory by Babaloo and Dream. I am a little bit excited for this one. This one kind of looks interesting. I haven't watched Dream in forever, so hopefully it's a good one. But this one first, since it's extremely short. So,
Jinkies. So, HighGuard, huh? What's the deal with salt shakers? Am I right? It's well, it's not good news. On the front of HighGuard.
Not surprised.
There
HighGuard
has
was
been
a terrible game.
An announcement, and maybe an announcement's not the right word to use. It's not really accurate to say that. There have been some LinkedIn posts from former Wildlight employees. Wildlight is the studio behind HighGuard,
Okay.
mentioning that most of the staff has been laid off at the studio following the release of HighGuard.
Sorry, Charlie. That laid off? Why? It's understandably a bad game, but it's just because there's no direction for it. It is a huge map with only 6 players on there, and for some reason there's a ram that gets teleported in when you grab Excalibur that just pops out, and you put it in and it breaks down a barrier, and then they gotta destroy these 3 points in your base. I mean, it's not very directional at all. It was terrible. It was a bad game. Why are we running around with bears and high-tech armor, and everybody has powers that feel like it's Valorant? There is no direction for this game. Look, the game looks gorgeous. That's it. Otherwise, it sucks.
Which only came out about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks appears to be like the curse, because Concord had something very similar where it only had a lifespan just barely longer than a mosquito, where it had completely shut its doors in about 2 weeks. It barely even was able to open its eyes after its birth. It seems like 14 days is the magic number that big budget games are given to either blow up or blow out your ass. It's like in The Ring, you know, where you get that phone call saying you're going to die in 7 days, but in the video games industry, you get 14 days. You're going to die in 14 days, it seems. Now, in HighGuard's case, they actually had put out a whole year-long roadmap, which made a lot of people believe more heavily in
Okay, see, I do not like year-long roadmaps. I will say, Arc Raiders, what Embark does, very good, because they keep it extremely vague. They don't overpromise like most games do. And because they don't overpromise, when something comes out or something is wrong, right? These are expected things. We're not expecting perfect, right? Don't get me wrong, Arc Raiders has a lot of glitches. It does. But you know, it's a pretty forgiving game, and the creators of it are so snappy when it comes to certain things being patched quickly. And they're very player-based driven, not streamer-driven or anything like that. Stuff like COD went to, because that's what killed COD. They went towards streamers rather than their entirety of their player base. So I hope that Embark keeps doing what they're doing, and Embark is the only one that I like when it comes to yearly maps.
them committing to the long term of growing this, expanding it, and trying to make it flourish and find a player base. And make no mistake, this game did have a successful launch. The day this puppy came out, 100,000 curious sports fans hopped in there to check it out, but as of right now, there's just over 2,400 playing, which isn't really like the smallest potatoes ever. 2,400 concurrent players with nearly a 4K 24-hour peak.
I mean, the issue is how much money was put into this thing for only that amount. I mean, look, if it was like a popularized indie, yeah, I'd understand where those numbers are pretty good, or at least mediocre. Not for HighGuard.
Is pretty decent for a lot of games, but given the scope of this project and the size of the team, it looks like they're closing the doors on a lot of the employees here. I don't know if that means they're looking to shut it all down or if they're looking to just downsize because they can't justify the spend any longer. I'm not entirely sure. That remains to be seen, but it's certainly not looking good for the future.
I can guarantee they're probably going to shut it down. There's no way that they're going to continue with this game after just how many not just how many negative reviews it's gotten, but just the tiny publicity it has had since its launch.
HighGuard, which unfortunately I don't think a ton of people were surprised by. A lot of people kind of predicted that this might happen. I don't think anyone read this shocked. Like, I don't think there was anyone like eyes wide open, jaw on the floor, stunned by this news, because releasing a game like HighGuard in the current saturation of this market, it's kind of a death sentence. Like, those guards must be high to be expecting this to be like a massive success that blows everything else out there and finds its own footing off rip. That was always going to be an uphill battle. It's very difficult to get gamers to switch from their comfort game to your game in the same genre. They might go check it out, but most likely they're going to go back to the game that they've spent the most time with, the one they're most accustomed to. The most notable example that completely bucks that trend is
Valorant.
Marvel Rivals, where it entered into an extremely saturated...
I thought he was going to say Valorant. But I guess Marvel Rivals is more recent comparative to Overwatch. But Valorant has been kind of I wouldn't want to say taken over, but it's become more popularized than I want to say CS2. I don't think it's ever reached, or it will ever reach the peak that CSGO had, for sure. But it did kind of take over within that esports scene comparative to CS2. So that was the one that I thought he was going to go with.
Genre, fucking hero shooters. That should have been dead on arrival, death sentence, bury that shit in the dirt. But thanks to the power of the Marvel IP, where so many people are so passionate about Marvel itself, and also the developers diverting tons and tons and tons of resources to just churn things out really quickly, very high quality, very quickly, and also the timing they entered the market where Overwatch was starting.
And the boobs. And it's a lot of the boobs. And the abs and the showing of the skin. It's a lot of that. Yeah, it's a lot of that.
Starting to flounder and people were hungry for something to replace it. Marvel Rivals just had all the stars align, and now it is successful, and it did carve out its niche. HighGuard didn't have those luxuries. People were even confused on what HighGuard was in the first place. They announced it at the Game Awards and then went fucking radio silent crickets for a whole month. People thought it was a hero shooter. I thought it was a hero shooter. A lot of people thought it was fucking Concord 2.0. There were so little things to know about it, so it was hard for people to get hype and buy into this idea of HighGuard in the first place when they weren't even talking about it. So when the game came out, and
see, this is what I mean. There was no direction for it. It was not the game developer's fault. It was whoever was in charge of, coming up with this idea and planning it out. It was a terrible plan.
My opinion was okay. Like, I don't think it's a great game. I don't think it was a bad game. It was just kind of an alright mid-game.
It reminds me of Realm Royale.
It was always going to struggle retaining a player base. People tried it. They were lukewarm on it. Some people hated it. Some people did like it. But it was always going to be tough to get them to stick with it long term, especially if the developers don't seem willing to. Like, these layoffs don't inspire confidence, so there's 2,400 people playing it right now, and I imagine they really like it to still be playing it. And they did add things to it, like the 5v5 mode, so it seems like there is a willingness to try and, flesh it out. But
I did not hear about the 5v5 mode. That was much better than whatever they had at launch with the 3v3. Stupid.
With these layoffs, it seems like the future's uncertain. And who knows, maybe down the line they could have carved out a unique identity for it. It did have some unique ideas, like with the base rating. So, like, maybe there's a what if there. And again, they haven't announced that they're shutting down or anything. They haven't fully turned the lights off over there. So perhaps it's still in the cards. But I just don't understand why it feels like no one at these companies internally is putting their thinking caps on. It doesn't feel like they're being realistic.
It's because they are not. They think that they can do anything in this age of technological empowerment. I wouldn't be surprised if they got all their ideas from AI itself. AI is a tool only. It sucks at doing most high processing stuff. Yes, it is great for sending out emails, writing emails, giving you a way to file your taxes well, a way to keep track of your money. It's good at guiding you through things. Like me when I was setting up my home lab, it was great at doing that. It helped me a lot, guiding me through the Proxmox setup screen. Great at that. Creating an entire game from scratch? No!
Because this was a very likely outcome that most people were kind of expecting to unfold here. So why are they already laying off people after only 2 weeks? Why wouldn't you go into a project like this with a longer runway? Like, look, we might be bleeding players for a couple months, and that's okay. Like, we have allocated budget to account for that as we look to try and find our community and build this game with the players. Like, they're already doing mass layoffs after just 2 weeks. So it seems like they were expecting this to just fucking explode and be the next Marvel Rivals or the next Call of Duty or something. Like, who really knows what the expectations are anymore at these companies? It just surprises me how quickly games will come and die. Anyway, though, taking a look at the LinkedIn here, this comes from someone named...
That was bright. That was me and Charlie. Unfortunately, along with most of the team at Wildlight, I was laid off today. Oh, this was the one that he showed before. Interesting. That sucks.
Alex Grainer. Unfortunately, along with most of the team at Wildlight, I was laid off today. This one really stings as there was a lot of unreleased content I was really looking forward to that I and others designed for HighGuard. However, I'm excited for my next adventure. If your team or anyone you know needs an experienced level designer, hit me up. Check out my portfolio here to see what I've done the last 7 years as a level designer in the AAA space at alexgrainer.com. Cheers. The way that Alex writes about it on LinkedIn sounds like most of the team at Wildlight has been laid off, and then he said how disappointed he is because there is unreleased content that they were excited for, meaning that it feels like that unreleased content is never coming. So my impression is that these layoffs are in preparation for shutting it down, especially when...
That's not surprising. That's, what I said before. Oh, here's another one. Dang, that sucks. Hold on. Well, I'll let him read.
You also look at Josh Sobel's post. Today I was laid off from my job at Wildlight along with most of the staff. Once again, echoing that same sentiment that most of the staff has been laid off. You can't run a game like HighGuard with most of the...
Okay. It says that he's never... Like, they put a lot into this. That's surprising considering how poorly this game just... To me, this was an awful game. I deleted it immediately. Immediately. I hate it. I hate it. But I do know what it's like to work on something that you're passionate about and then it just fails. It sucks. And now that this company, had so much unreleased content that they were planning to do, and after just 2 weeks, they're already saying goodbye, is crazy to me. But it's not surprising.
Staff gone, and this was the lead tech artist. So this is like a pretty big position.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Oh,
it was the best team I've ever worked with, and I've never put so much of myself into a project before. I wouldn't trade the past 2.5 years for anything. And then he goes on to talk about his experience. So if anyone has, a need for his expertise, to please reach out about it. To me, this feels like the end of HighGuard, more like ByGuard, because it's saying goodbye.
Sorry, that was mean.
Here, it feels like these posts make it pretty clear that most of the staff has been laid off, and that it's likely winding itself down for that next step. It feels like it's in that stage where it's probably closing its doors. But I could be entirely wrong. It's just, you know, this.
I hope me and Charlie are both wrong on this, because it seems like the staff does genuinely care about it. It's just poor direction on whoever's part. And so, like, don't get me wrong, the game is beautiful, the designs are gorgeous, all of it, like the sound designs, the gun designs, character designs, they're all really, really good. It just doesn't feel like one game. It feels like it's trying to do so many different things all at once, and it just fails at all of them.
Statement about the unreleased content that's not coming, these layoffs, most of the staff gone, as well as like a position like fucking lead tech artist. I mean, it'd be tough to keep the game going with basically no one left at the company, right? You would think. Anyway, though, this isn't something that I think is worthy of celebration or anything. I wish HighGuard was better and performed better, so that way they could keep chipping away at something and maybe make something special eventually. Like, take for example No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky came out to nothing but booze. Just an absolute flood of booze, trash, and look what happened over the years. They worked so hard to make an extremely special game, and now No Man's Sky is a fucking masterpiece, right?
Yep.
I'm not saying HighGuard was ever going to be able to do that, but I would just like if these games, you know, they actually were willing to stick with it for a while to at least see what they could do with it. I was very pessimistic about the game going into it because it didn't seem like a game that I was going to enjoy all that much. I tried it and it was okay. It's just kind of a meh thing, but who knows? Maybe if they really committed to it, they could have made something great out of it. Now, I don't think we'll ever really know, because it seems like these companies are more than willing to spend unfathomable.
It's why I like indie games so much. Like, I have been wanting to play Murder of a King Mare again. I was playing it on one of my streams where I was unfortunately streaming at 4K, and so the entire stream was lagging heavily. But I you know, it's a fun game. I want to make another video on it for sure. It's just I have been so busy with my home lab, and I've continued to play Arc Raiders a ton because, you know, I'm gonna stream what I like to stream, and it's just, you know, when my friends are online and they're playing Arc Raiders, I want to play Arc Raiders. Whoa, hit my mic there. I want to play Arc Raiders, you know, because they're online, and you know, most of the time I'm just doing stuff like, you know, I'm going out on a date this Thursday, and I probably won't be able to stream until very later, or much later. So, you know, it just, indie games are great. That's the point I'm trying to make here. And you can even see it with Hytale. I love Hytale. I'm going, if I can, I'm probably going to stream it this Thursday. It's a good game, and I like playing it, and I'm going to continue to play it because there's passion put into it. I didn't see that passion put into HighGuard. From the way that these team members are talking about it, it seems like they did have a lot of passion. It just couldn't go anywhere with the terrible direction. So it's unfortunate, but I think indie's gonna lead the way for a while.
Fathomable amounts of money, millions of dollars, to develop a project like this, and then just close it in 2 weeks, just let it die, lay everyone off, say, well, that was a failure of an experiment, is what it is. I would prefer if these games came out and were good. I don't like to see all these people losing their jobs. That sucks. And it's not like the developers were the ones that cooked the idea here. I imagine that came from a higher level position. Most people could tell you, you got a real tough battle ahead of you, a real war to fight if you're trying to carve out a strong community in a genre this full that HighGuard was competing in. Like, it's just, I feel like it should have been obvious, but I think so many people in the games industry at the highest level of the food chain just are delusional. It is what it is,
Very
man.
much so.
But yeah, anyway, I wanted to yap about this a little bit. I do think it won't be long now before we see HighGuard saying that, they're going to be closing it in the near future. But maybe not. Maybe they are going to run this with a skeleton crew at Wildlight. As I was rendering this video, Wildlight Entertainment put out a statement saying,
well, yikes. Dang, wait. That was... How long ago was that? That was literally... That was while I was cleaning out my room. My parents are moving, and so I was cleaning out my room. Holy cow.
Today we made an incredibly difficult decision to part ways with a number of our team members while keeping a core group of developers to continue innovating on and supporting the game. We're proud of the team, talent, and the product we've created together. We're also grateful for players who gave the game a shot and those who continue to be part of the community. So, it seems like, based on this, that maybe they aren't looking to shut it down. They're just looking to maybe cut expenses, save some money on the bottom line because the player base has dwindled so much. That's pretty surprising, I'm not going to lie, because from some of the positions I've seen...
That's incredible. Looks like Charlie was right, they're running a skeleton crew. Hey, color me surprised, and I'm glad that I'm wrong. It's extremely unfortunate that those people had to lose their jobs. But I guess I wish the best for those who are continuing development in HighGuard. I don't think I will be playing it until there's considerable change. But who knows? Maybe it becomes incredible. Maybe it becomes an incredible game.
Here, they seem to be pretty high-level positions, so pretty interesting and honestly pretty surprising, but all power to them if they are going to actually stick with it with their core developers here to keep carving out its own unique identity. I guess we'll see how it goes, but yeah, I mean, assuming that this is correct, seems like it's not goodbye, Guard. It's more of a see you later, Guard. Oh, hi, Mark. I don't know.
Sorry, I did it again.
Anyway, that's the HighGuard update. That's really about it. So, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, I was not expecting that. I thought they would completely stop that, just entirely. Well, thank you, Charlie, for updating. That was a cool video, and now we're gonna move on to the next one. So, yeah, this should be fun.